Good morning, good day, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to continue in a more in-depth way the conversation we've been having about how to surrender your spirit and your trouble and your burden into the rest of God. And I'm gonna kind of this has taken a new urgency for me because I'm moving through things, as I shared with you, that one of the challenges that this quickening is presenting to me, an opportunity it's presenting to me, is to demonstrate to me one of my weak spots. I had shared with you the past three classes that I'm moving through a territory when I'm beginning to realize that it is through my empathy and the excessive way in which that I give, because I'm a healer, that my challenge is presenting itself. That it's very easy for me to cross a boundary between giving and, in other words, when somebody comes with a prayer request, with a problem, an issue during coaching, it's very easy, particularly if it's somebody I know. If it's one of you that I've known for years, it becomes a sticky point for me. It's like I'm walking on a glue trap. So instead of, if it's somebody that's new, that I'm barely getting to know, I can become detached and have non-attachment from their problem. But in a situation in which it's somebody that I care for very deeply, particularly with what's going on in the world now, where there's so much chaos and the chaos is so intense, my desire to protect my family, my spiritual family, is so overwhelmingly strong that I take their burden and their karma and the responsibility to fix them. And this is completely wrong. This is not what God is asking of us. And I am realizing this as an issue, and I'm monitoring my consciousness to make sure I don't continue doing this, and I don't continue to keep exacerbating this. Now, there was a particular issue that I was dealing with about 3 weeks ago that I released and let go. I'm not trying to save people, and I told you last week, I had the challenge where I had the night before the class deal with somebody that was that sent me basically a suicide note. Okay, somebody I'm trying to help, and I had to step in to counsel and to mentor and to give information without becoming personally attached and trying to call and trying to do all kinds of like crazy things that I would normally do, trying to personally, instead of allowing God and spirit to move through my words and to move through what I'm saying and reach them and give them a lifeline, I would personally try to rescue them. And I should know better because I was a lifeguard. And one of the things that they train you as a lifeguard is that when someone is drowning and you're trying to rescue them, you never make physical contact with an active victim, somebody that's gesticulating, that's screaming, that's yelling as they are going down under. If you touch them, they're going to take you down with them. And that analogy stands true with what I'm doing right now, because I'm giving people a lifeline. But the way that they teach you as a lifeguard to approach an active victim, you jump in with a rescue buoy, and you hand them the buoy. And the buoy has a cord, and you pull the cord, and you swim back to drag them back in, so that they don't take you down with them. And I have, that analogy is now becoming more clear for me, that I have to do the same thing. And the degree to which this is a reissue for me presented itself again for me this week, where I had a conversation with somebody that I care for very deeply, who's visiting town, one of my former students, still student, that is now living in Europe and came into town, and we had coffee, and she was asking me for something, for my advice for about something, and I, at the time I couldn't think of something immediate to respond. The next day during meditation, something came through. I sent the information through, but the next thing you know, I spend the whole rest of the day thinking about all the detail, doing an entire business plan, doing all the detail of what you should be doing. And I caught myself. I'm like, okay. And it was very hard for me to let go. It was somebody I love very much. It was very hard for me to let go, to say, I'm not responsible to fix it. God is capable. I was saying it intellectually, but emotionally, I was still attached, and I could see myself trying to send another text or another phone call and another message, and trying to communicate by explaining myself, and more ideas were coming through. And when that happened, Pierre, my ego, is trying to solve the problem. I'm not surrendering to God. And I have to learn, and this is a real issue for me. It's my challenge. I have to learn. I have to keep monitoring my consciousness. I have to learn to let go, to allow spirit, to allow God to take over and do what God needs to do, instead of me, Pierre, personally trying to edit and trying to fix and repair people. And you know, it was kind of like humbling for me, because I thought I got it because of the work that I had done the week before. I was so proud of myself due to the fact that suddenly somebody in my care that I love very much was trying to commit suicide. I was able to give the information in a detached manner. I thought I was, you know, I got it. And then all of a sudden that other experience occurred. And unbeknown to me, after I sent the first message, all these other ideas were coming through, and this person wants to open a new business, and all these other ideas were coming through. I was basically in my head, Pierre was writing the business plan for them. And I'm realizing how my ego, it was no longer coming from God. The first message was from God. The rest of the stuff that was coming in, it's me. It was me getting involved. And I had to step out of the way and say, Pierre, enough. Don't say nothing. More importantly, become detached from outcome and stop trying to edit, because it's not your responsibility to do. Stop trying to fix, stop trying to repair. You gave the idea. She's grown. She's an adult. She's a businesswoman. She'll figure out the rest. And if she cannot do it, she'll come back to you. And I'm using myself as an example because I want to illuminate to you how the rubber touched the road. I want to explain to you, when you're dealing with core issue and bad habits that are so old and that you've been doing for a long time, it takes a while for you to deprogram your subconscious mind and to put in a different type of information. And in real time, it's like a sine wave. It goes up and down, up and down. There are moments of victories. There are moments where you go down in the middle of the valley. I didn't fail the test. I caught it, but I struggled with it for half a day, because in my mind, there was the voice in my mind that was still trying, well, she should be doing this. She should, blah, blah, blah. There are so many issues that are related to all that and the other. She should be doing, you know, and I had to catch myself and say, no, you're not sending any more messages. You've already gave the core information, and she's grown. She'll figure it out. If she needs you, she'll contact you. So that was a presentation. And I'm saying this to you because whatever your challenge is, because all of us have customized issues that we're burdened with, that we're trying to, some of you might be health related, some of you, it might be relationship related. As I'm using myself as an example, mine is relationship related for the people that are in my care. Because that's one muscle that I use all the time. And when my ego gets involved, it becomes toxified, it becomes something else. And I begin to feel it as I'm thinking about all the things that she should be doing or not doing. I begin to feel it in my adrenal and in my kidneys. I begin to feel a tightness in my core. I'm no longer in the surrender or the rest of God, because now I'm trying to. It's like I'm running on a bicycle and it's me trying to do all the work. Whereas when I'm in that state of rest, I give the information and the message, and I'm free of attachment to outcome. I'm surrendering completely. I'm not attached to whatever happened, how it occurred, what processes through which it's going to happen. Is it going to be blue, pink, or yellow? It doesn't matter. As long as I'm already released it, the God is capable of reaching them and planting the seed and giving and make sure that the information happen, or that the outcome is for the highest good. In fact, when God does it, it's actually better than me trying to interfere. Because as I try to interfere and try to do this, that, or the other, I end up screwing up. Now, if she comes back to me and says, I'm having some problem, I attempted this, that, or the other, and this is where I am, blah, 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 so then that's a different story. But in this instance, it was me trying to rescue. And I could feel, I'm saying this, I can feel the point in my back again. It's the weak point. It's the middle of my back, or my lower lumbar. I can begin to feel this tightness, because every time I'm trying this to basically fix and repair people from my ego, this is what happened. Now, if I'm doing it right, what's going to happen, like when this suicide note arrived to me on my phone 2 weeks ago, what I do is, what I did in that instance is that I was very detached. I responded. I was loving. I was caring. I explained the consequences, and I gave a way out. I explained what needed to be done. I just sent multiple, I called, I sent multiple texts, and then once I am done, I'm done. I'm done. I didn't hear any response beyond a certain point. I planted the seed. God will take care of the rest. And I went to sleep, and I slept extremely well, completely detached from the outcome. Because whatever happened after that, I did my part. Even if I had woken up in the morning and got the news that, this person was no longer alive, I did my part. I did enough. And that was sufficient for me. And so I want you to understand how the universe keeps bringing back the same issue over and over again. And it takes a minute for the new habit to be created. And you should be going back to finding the rest of God by surrendering and letting go of all of these other things that are in your life that are trying to disturb your connection to God, your connection to light. And you should be practicing this on a daily basis and remain in that space in that as much as possible. And the more you do this, the more you connect, the better everything around you is going to be. Because you're not trying to interfere anymore. Give God the wheel and let God take over. I know it sounds easy, but it's the hardest thing to do. Because we've been trained and domesticated to control, to try to survive, to constantly be, thinking, intellectualizing, it's our cunning and our intellect. That's our greatest adaptation tool. And we're all busy trying to figure things out by thinking this or that or the other. As I said before, the ascendance is this thin line that exists between surrender and doing. There are times you need to do, you need to act. There are times you need to let go, and you need to become completely passive and inactive and let the force of God, of the Creator, move right through you. Now, it's knowing when to be on the left, to be on the left foot or the right foot, when to act and when not to act. That's the key. And that's what we're learning through this transit. So I'm certainly learning a lot. And I can say to you that for sure, my ability to understand what's going on around me, and particularly now that I'm focusing on that part of myself, realizing that my empathy and my ability to give also has a lower octave when my ego becomes too attached to my ability to give. And I have to learn how to disconnect to that. Any questions, any comments so far?
Thank you, Pierre. I have a question about the timing of things. As we surrender to God into that rest, and there is no change outwardly, it does present a question to my mind. Am I holding on to something still? I don't know that everything is necessarily instantaneous and miraculous, that it could take time, but how do you know when, I guess, to release the need to know if it's all working? Is it going to be just on a timer?
You have to have faith, Candace.
Yes.
That's the bottom line. You have to have faith.
So maybe that's part of the surrendering, that you don't have to turn over any other rocks or logs.
You don't have to have, because once you present it to God, it's where the certainty comes in. This is what will make it manifest instantaneously. It's the certainty. It's the certainty.
That is. Oh.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It's you knowing 1,000%.
I guess that's something I haven't achieved. I'm not sure what percentage certainty I have, but I don't think I have reached 1,000%.
Well, of course, I'm exaggerating.
Well, maybe we could even say 100%.
Right. I'm exaggerating. So the point I'm making is that it's to the degree to which, and depending on what you're dealing with, the same with me. I thought I was certain about what was happening for me about 3 weeks ago. I thought I got it. But the test keep repeating every week. I keep having a challenge where I'm being presented with somebody that's in crisis that I have to help. And then I have to monitor my consciousness and stop it from trying to rescue, which is what I do all the time. And allow God and give their problem and their burden, cancel them, do everything that I possibly can, yet in the end, not take the burden with me when I go to sleep. When I'm in the shower, I'm still having a conversation with them in my head because I haven't let go, I haven't surrendered. I'm not in certainty that God is capable of fixing the problem by itself. You understand? So in your situation, it's similarly, it's the certainty is not completely there. It's a work in progress, and it takes time. It takes, particularly when you've been habituated and domesticated to do everything for yourself and to control and to manage everything. And you keep thinking that there is something you didn't do. It's not something you didn't do. It's just that you're not yet in the not in the rest, but in the you have not cultivated a connection, a deeper connection to certainty and to faith, where you know once you've done it, the work. And even with faith, depending on the condition and what you're dealing with, sometimes things take a month, 2 months. It takes a while, because what we're dealing with, the change we're asking for, sometime, because internally, when you do the prayer and the meditation, you may feel the connection with the rest of God. You may feel energetically that you're there. But it's that feeling when you know everything is solved that you have to maintain when the doubts creep in. Because what you're having is doubts that are coming in. And that doubt, those doubts, maybe you didn't do something, maybe blah, blah, blah. Those doubts are coming from the adversary.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's no uncertainty about God's ability from what I perceive, but more about, will it happen for me? Am I worthy enough for this to happen for me?
God says yes.
Yes.
God says yes. Listen to me. God says yes.
Yes. It's Satan that is putting a question mark.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly correct. That gift is already installed in you. What's holding you back is the doubts.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
It's already installed.
I feel that too.
Yeah. You're free. You're liberated already.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. So what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna go into a more in-depth understanding of the step we've done so far. All of the healing, counseling, and everything else that I've been doing for all of you over the years and guiding you through all of the transit and everything else, all of that information comes through one thing that I'm doing consistently. And that is when through a process of breath control, I go into a connection with my God concept. And when I get there, I surrender whatever burden that I may be dealing with, whether it's physical, whether it's people related, whether it's planetary, whether it is financial, whatever the burden is, I surrender it completely into God. And when I do, and I let go of it completely, and I try not to, I don't have any more doubt, I'm in complete certainty that it is already done. This is why in a lot of prayer at the end, they say, it is done. When you say gate, paragate, parasamgate, as the Bodhisattva, basically translated is gone over, fully gone over, awake, become enlightened, awake, it is done. It's the certainty that that state now is law. It's law. Now, if you're not there yet because you're struggling through it, like Janice was saying, what happens is that over time of you repeating this and doing this practice over and over again over several months, you're going to get into the certainty. Right now, it may be elusive. It's because, okay, we talked before about the bread of shame. A couple of classes ago, I went over the infinite desire to give and infinite desire to receive, and how the shame evolved, emancipated because of entitlement, and the opposite of the entitlement, the lower belly of it was shame and undeservedness. Now, in order for the shame and the undeservedness to be removed, Satan was created. So, Janice, forgive me for using you as an example, but in your instance, when you think that there's a part of you that feels I'm not deserving of this shift, that's your shame and your undeservedness. And how Satan is putting these doubts to help you overcome the shame.
So it's to my benefit.
It's to your benefit. How Satan is your teacher right now. He's a tough teacher, but he's your teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment you overcome it, the shift and the transformation that you want, that you were asking for, will drop. It will precipitate. So that's what we have to understand. That it is, nothing is per chance and everything is interweaved. And so the process that I use to connect and actually, and this is the process through which enlightenment is achieved. The Buddhist talks about non-attachment as being the key. And this mantra, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisattva, that mantra is about non-attachment. Gone over, fully gone over. What's gone and fully gone over is attachment to everything, even to life, attachment to everything. You let it go, you surrender. And when you are surrendering that much, you will become awake. What they talk about as awake is what we would call enlightenment or ascension. And when you become awake, you will realize you will exist in the true essence of being, where you are now part of the vast continents, as not as a singularity worrying about your specific petty spiritual conundrum and the things in your life that you think are important to you, but you will begin to see things for what they really are. Because at this point, your ego that we are all holding so deep with, to, and particularly ego that's allowing us to control and manage and everything else, your ego also has to be gone. And when that happens, you now enter into a new personality. This is why a lot of time, when spiritually speaking, when people ascend, they take a new name, which is called the mystical nomen. They take a new name, and the new name is the name of the collective awareness that they belong to, the monad and the collective awareness they belong to. And that name becomes their mystical nomen, their spiritual name, because they are no longer who they were before as a singularity. A lot of people who have achieved ascendance will suddenly, you will see them, and they will take a new name. Like Jesus was known as Jesus, in the inner plane, he is known as Shananda, because that's the name of the collective that he's part of. So for that to happen, and it's not complicated, and this is what I'm trying to explain to you, it's just the exact reverse. It's like blinking your eyelid. It's the simplest thing in the world. Whatever is your greatest burden right now, wherever it may lodge, whether it is financial, whether it is emotional, whether it is physical, whether it is relationship related, however you see yourself as having some kind of burden, that burden is in your life because of an attachment to something or someone, or sometimes multiple people, multiple things that you're attached to. And the way out is within. And you need to go into deep meditation in your core and begin to sense generally in your body. In my instance, when I have these issues where I describe my particular conundrum, when I'm trying to control my clients, I'm not control, but trying to solve my client's problem, trying to rescue, I feel it in my back, my lower back. And I go into that part of my body, however I feel it. And not only however I feel it physically, but the more recent instance that happened this past week, was that I met with my friend. We were talking. When she asked me the question, the next day I had all these ideas. I sent the core idea. And after that, Pierre was busy developing an entire, and I couldn't shut it off. So when I went in meditation, I felt it. I felt it in that part of my body. I could hear this voice running, almost like a machine, like a machine gun. She should be doing this, and then that or the other. And I took all of that chatter with what I was feeling physically, and I know where God is for me. I can feel it in my atmic body all the way up top of my head, because that's when I go into that space, there is no chatter. I take a very deep breath, universal breath, and I move the energy with the counter rotating breath that comes from the core of the earth, and it moves through my spinal cord, dislodging this and moving it all the way out into the atmic body and into source, and release past atmic body into source, and I release it. And I do this breath multiple times, because you could do it once and there's a remainder of attachment. If you can do it 12 times, it will be perfect. And as I move it through and I release everything and I surrender, there's a point that I go where there is complete silence. The chatter stops. The doubts and the monkey mind, it just stops. And when the chatter and the monkey mind disappear, and I'm not thinking and I'm not chatting and all that is not going in my head anymore, at that moment, I know I am in the rest of the Holy Spirit. I know now that I am in the rest of God, and I'm in stillness. And in this instance, I chose to remain in that space for a while, because again, the amount of chatter, the amount of me trying to solve someone else's problem that I was doing was excessive. So I sat in that space for a while. I sat in there for a while. And beyond that point, I begun to realize that the next thing I had to do is to say to myself, God is capable of reaching her and giving her all the detail that God is giving to me right now. I don't need to be the person editing anything. God is capable of doing all of it. And I can let go now. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisattva. I can let go. And I can go, in Buddhism, they talk about going on the other shore. where you're no longer in attachment, the shore of liberation. And for that to happen, you have to let go. Gone, gone, gone over, fully gone over. Awake. It is done. And literally, when you're in that space, it literally feels like an exhale, a deep exhale, and all of a sudden, poof, the problem is gone. Now, as Janice pointed it out just earlier, often what actually occurs is that you don't have the certainty immediately, particularly when you have a bad habit of control and control and control. I have to do this, I have to do that, I'm not doing it right, I should be doing, and I'm not doing it correctly. It's the certainty that drives it. It's not complicated. I shared the story of Makshoni in the show of the Dead Sea, and that story is so powerful that I want to repeat it again. When Pharaoh had sieged the children of Israel on the shore of the Dead Sea, by following them after Moses took them out of Egypt, the people started a rebellion. Not the Israelite, but a particular other slave, and other slaves that are called, in the Bible, they call them the mixed multitude. And the mixed multitude are not the children of Isaac. They are not the descendant of Isaac. They are other slaves that were in Egypt who saw the miracle that God was doing with the 10 plagues, who decided to follow Moses out to find liberation. Okay? Now, they started screaming, Pharaoh's going to kill us. They are behind us. There's a column of fire, but the column is diminishing. They're gonna when they catch up to us, they're gonna kill all of us. We were slaves, but at least we were still alive. Blah blah blah. And Moses said to them, God is saying to us, to me, for us to jump in the water. And they went ballistic. Have you lost your mind? Walk in the water and we can't do this. And Moses said, no, God is telling us that we have a way to do the miracles ourselves already. And he guided them for the whole night, including the mixed multitude, because he had only 600,000 Israelites. The rest were mixed multitude. Although he had 3 million people, the whole rest was mixed multitude. So 2.5 million people were just mixed multitude. And he guided everyone into the exact state that I'm talking about right now. To remove, during the whole night, through guided meditation, to focusing on the divine name of God that is about certainty. The Hebrew letter that are about certainty. And he guided them into a state, a transcendental state, where they can be in that awareness of understanding. And the one thing they were asking, because when you go into the blessed field, when you go into the rest of the Holy Spirit, you have to go in there with a very simple ask. In the instance that I was sharing with you, I just wanted to be unburdened. But in this instance, all Moses was asking from God and was trying to entrance the entire 6 million population, 3 million population, was simply this: give us safe passage. That's all they wanted, give us safe passage. And whatever fear they had, whatever the fear was of them being killed by Pharaoh, take the fear, take deep breath, and move the fear through your body and release it to God and ask God, give us safe passage. And one by one, they entered that state through the night. And as they did this, there was a gigantic ask from the 3 million individuals to infinity times infinity. There was a gigantic ask. And in the morning, as the fire disappeared, and Pharaoh began to move toward them, a young, and they were still entranced, they were all quiet in the early morning hour. Makshoni, who was a teenager, was so entranced and he was in such certainty that the miracle was already done. It was already created. He didn't know what moved him, but he started moving in the water. And the water, and everybody was quiet. The sea was lapping the seashore. They were just quiet. You can just imagine it. He was just moving by himself with all of the people behind him. Water to his knee. He kept on moving for the water to his waist in complete certainty that he has already found safe passage. Water to his chest, he already has safe passage. Water through his chin, and when the water reaches his mouth, the water separated. Now, it's not just Makshoni's certainty, but it's the collective certainty, because what that ask was immense. They didn't ask, give us a bridge, send an angel to pick all of us in a chariot of fire and take us across the sea. They didn't control how it was going to happen. They simply asked for safe passage. And because of this, they allowed infinity times infinity to create the miracle in the most appropriate manner. And suddenly, the water separated and they were able to cross. And when Pharaoh followed, the water closed. Now, what's interesting is that in the Kabbalah, in the Zohar, and through the rabbi I was studying with at the time, they said, when this happened, it wasn't just the Red Sea that split in half, because it was literally a correction, a temporary halt on natural law. That every body of water in the planet split in half at that moment. And they went further to explain that our ability and our request into source can suspend or decree into source with certainty, can suspend and rearrange what we consider immutable laws of physics. And this is the vehicle that Jesus multiplied the fish and the bread, turned water into wine, and walked on water, and did all the other miracles that happened. And all the other miracle workers in the world who have done miracle, that's the means. When you go into connection to God, to source, when you go and you can feel in your heart that you're embraced by this love, and you're embraced completely by this unbelievable support, there cannot be any doubt after that, that you are not only heard, but immediately, by decree, transformation is yours now. And when you're in that state of certainty, it will manifest that easy. But it's a work in progress, because we've been so domesticated. We have so much shame and so much undeservedness that when you have doubts as you're working towards your miracles, and you keep going into that space, and you have that, like Janice was describing, you keep having, you keep thinking you're not doing it right. The doubts are being put into your mind by the adversary, but the adversary ultimately is trying to put the doubts in to help you work out and remove your shame and your undeservedness. And the other thing also that can help you, Janice, quite a bit, and all of you, by the way, that can help you a lot, is that when you get into the rest and the connection with that place, it's not complicated. You don't have to stand on one toes and do crazy breath control, etc. It's simple inhalation and exhalation, deep, and see the burden move from you and go into that blessed field. That's all it takes. And you have to surrender emotionally where all the attachment, all the fears, all the things that you think you should be doing, and particularly when you're dealing with something that's really big and you think this transformation cannot be done, it cannot be created. To the degree that you think it cannot, surrender all of it to God. And when you completely give it completely, and it's all given, and you can feel the unbelievable release and the ease that washes over you. If you remain in gratitude for that ease and that blessing and grace that washes over you, that gratitude will bring you certainty. Do you see what I'm saying, Janice?
Thank you. I see. Perhaps a limitation in terms of deep breaths, but I get the concept.
You don't need the deep breath. I'm using, as long as you can move the burden from your body and release it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need the deep breath.
Mm.
You just need to move the burden out.
Okay.
Don't get caught in the details again. To the best of your ability, implement this. And the way around whatever limitation you have will be presented to you. Because God is trying to implement, in fact, the miracle is already there. It's already with you. It's the doubts, it's the fear, it's all of that stuff, that's the chatter, the monkey mind, and all of this is what's blocking it. Because if you can go and you rest and you're in that peace, your entire body will transform. Everything around you, the universe, everything physically that exists will be transformed.
The other challenge, of course, beside the shame, beside the burden of doubts, is the evidence in the physical that increases in the negative. So it feels as though it's getting worse rather than the opposite. So that's the other challenge to overcome.
What I'm saying to you is that take that fear and that negative evidence into source too.
Mm-hmm.
Take that into source also.
Mm-hmm.
And keep doing it. It's not going to be instantaneous, because again, there's a lot of shame and undeservedness. Keep doing it, and as you keep doing it, there's going to be a point where all of a sudden things will begin to transform for you. And there's going to be a turnaround point.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments, questions that anyone has? As I said before, it's hard for me to explain this to people because it's too simple. It's just too simple. But this is the way the universe is. You know, the complicated stuff that you have to do, so many pilgrimage to that, you have to carry a boulder up a hill 10,000 times, you have to prostrate yourself and do all of this. All of that is man-made. The universe is simple and elegant. Again, as I'm explaining this to you, I know what I'm saying sounds like I'm, you know, I'm saying nonsense. But it is not nonsense. It is universal truth. All of the Buddhas, including if you read the Kuan Yin's Heart Sutra, it's the same thing. It's non-attachment. You have to let go of it. I had posted on the group on WhatsApp, and I know a lot of people did not respond to it because I think it was too intense. But it is a Buddhist monk, a teacher, a Rinpoche, a Zen Buddhist, who is ready for samadhi, for his enlightenment. And he get off his chairs. There's a bed that's laid on the floor around him. All of his post-disciple are in a row on both sides of the bed. It's laid on a sheet with flowers, lotus flowers all around him of different color. And he just goes onto the bed, and they bow down to him. They're all in silence, and he lay down. The video is not even 5 minutes. He lay down, and he begins to breathe deeply, and he became so non-attached to everything and to even life itself that he went into enlightenment in the Bhagavad. Because in Buddhism, death is not the end. It is an opportunity, if you're awake and you're conscious, to enter into enlightenment, to ascend. I mean, literally, his hand was crossed on his chest, and at one point his hand just dropped, and the disciple just from both sides on a row picked up the sheet, and there was a coffin that was ready, a box. They put him in. They carried the box out. Now they're going to cremate his body. It's done. It's that simple. Now, this is an ultimate, no, if you're just a novice, you cannot do this. You cannot do this. And there is a book that the Tibetan Lama, there's a book called Unto Thee I Grant the Economy of Life. And one of the passages in there, it says, man should live as long as he should, not as long as he can. And I thought that was a beautiful line, that these monks know when it's their time, once they have accomplished. And a lot of Native people, even Native American Indian, they know when they're going to go and where they're going to leave. They will go on the land and the property, and they'll say, this is where I'm going to go. And then they just lay down, and then they just leave. And for them, when you have that kind of control, it's your way of moving into a higher initiation, which is now you exist now in the vast continent as a conscious co-creator in infinity times infinity. So we need to be very aware that the simplicity of this, because it was, when you look at it, it's fact. This is the ultimate control. to be so non-attached to everything that, and you know that you've accomplished everything. And he looked relatively young to me. He must be, because he's doing that good practice. He looks young to me. He just lay down for what looked like a short nap, and he walked into enlightenment. Samadhi is the word in Sanskrit that means enlightenment. He walked right into enlightenment. So we should be aware that, and the reason I'm mentioning this, it's, if you watch the video, it's the simplicity of it. He didn't spend 3 hours doing XYZ and doing this, that, or the other. It's just, the video is not even 5 minutes. But this is somebody that spent probably multiple lifetimes to prepare for this initiation. It's like blinking an eyelid. And if you remain in that state when you go into the blessed field, particularly when you're dealing with something that's very challenging, if you remain into the blessed field for a while and you end up embracing the gratitude for the liberation, okay, that you know and you're certain is yours, and you remain in that state for a while, the shift and the certainty will ground in you. And also be aware that once you've done this and you remain in that certainty, you will see a change in your physicality or in your environment, or you will feel differently. There's going to be a change. And you need to follow that change and be grateful for it and keep encouraging it. And this is the way you bring more change. It's like finding breadcrumbs. And you're grateful for the path and the breadcrumb, and then more will come. Be grateful for it. In other words, you have to, the faith has to be practiced. The certainty has to be practiced. When you go into source and you surrender that deeply, something is going to shift in you. And whatever that something is, even when you're no longer in that meditative state, there is an afterglow. There is a shift. That shift, you have to follow it instead of following the negative. Follow the positive. Follow the breadcrumb and be grateful for it. And as you keep following it like this, it will spread. It will overcome the obstacles.
Pierre, can I say something?
Yes.
As you were talking, and you mentioned something about the God of certainty, the name of the God of certainty, and that pushed me into going into Google and try to Google it. And I'm going to give the dictionary a version of it, and also the translation of the Hebrew Nikon word. The dictionary version is a certainty. It's mean having no doubt. Okay. Now, certainty translation of Hebrew Nikon, it says to be established or fixed. Okay. And it also said, and it gives you some biblical reference in Deuteronomy 13:14, the Hebrew 15, Deuteronomy. They give a couple of Bible reference, and then it went on into saying what does certainty mean in the Bible, and he gave the name of it says Jehovah or Yahweh. That is what it means in the Bible. And it also said here, he also give the name of Yahweh that is only there's no vowel in it.
Mhm.
And it's I'll tell you in a minute what that name is. 1 minute.
It's 3 letters, right?
I think it's 4 letters. I just had it here, but I don't know what I did with it.
Is it Yod He
So
Vav He?
yeah, there's one. It says certainty in the King James Version, but that's not what I just saw it. 1 minute. I'm sorry. Oh God, I don't see it. There's no vowel at all in it. There's
Yes,
no vowel in it at all.
yes.
And I think it's and that it's okay when you're in certainty. It's like my understanding of this. When you're in certainty, the God that is within you is radiating, and you're moving forward. You're banishing everything, fear, doubt, everything that you can imagine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it. If I found it, I just to mention this, but if I found it, I just saw it. My God, what happened here? It's something that cannot be doubted.
I'm gonna thank you, Marjorie. I really appreciate your input. I have a Kabbalah book that has the actual 3 Hebrew words,
Yes,
3 Hebrew letters that bring certainty. I'm gonna take a picture of it and I'm gonna text it to all of you. Okay?
yeah,
Let me explain the context. In the Kabbalah, in the Exodus, the passage of the Red Sea, that specific chapter, the first line in Hebrew in the Torah, when you rearrange all of the letters for all of that all contained in that first passage, because the first passage of every chapter in the Bible, because the Bible is a code, contains the frequency for the entire chapter. So whatever that first sentence is in Hebrew, if you rearrange all of the letters, it gives you 72 divine names,
yes.
including a name of God, which is 3 Hebrew letters for certainty.
I got the letters here.
Okay.
It's YHWH. It's Yahweh.
It's Yod He Vav He Mavoi.
You're okay. I don't know. I just
Yod He, it's the 4.
yeah.
This is the 4. No, this is it's not the same thing. I'm just letting you know because I'm trying to clarify it for you. Yod He
Okay.
Vav He is the unpronounceable name of God. It's a different thing. I will explain that in a second. What I'm talking about is 3 Hebrew letters for certainty. And according to the rabbi I studied Kabbalah with, they claim that during the night, Moses showed everybody these 3 Hebrew letters and had them focus on it. And this is the way he brought them into certainty. Because they believe the letters, and the letters are read from left to right. That's the sequence. You have to start from right to left. Sorry, from left to from right to left. So you have to start left to go right. And if you look at the letters in this sequence over and over again and look at their shape and whatever they are, it will take you into certainty. And that certainty, when it takes you into, can create miracle. I have it in my book. It's not close to me right now. I can't get off and try to look for it. But and I'm gonna take a picture with my phone and I'm gonna send it to all of you. I'll text it to you. Because if we're gonna do this work, we need to have the right tools. Now, what you were talking, or what the book, or what the Google is giving you, the information they're giving you, is not completely accurate. Yod He Vaweh is the unpronounceable name of God, and that relates into the force or the energy of God that brought creation, and that can also create end time. It has no vowel in between it, and in fact, the Hebrew, the way once a year, only once a year, it was the high priest in Jerusalem was allowed to attempt to put vowels between the letters, within the consonant, to try to pronounce it. You have to go in meditation and figure out what exactly God is trying to tell you. So one practice which relate to basically, if for those of you who studied the Tree of Life class with me, which connects to Bina, they would go into the Dead Sea, because the waters of Bina is the Ama, which is the unfertile mother. They would go into the Dead Sea and they would walk in and keep the water up to their chin once a year at a full moon, at the new moon, and they would pronounce the word on the water as they saw it in meditation. If you pronounce it right, it will connect you with the power of creation. That's the secret of the Yod He Vaweh. Okay? However, I mean, there are multiple interpretation in the mystery school that I belong to, in the Martinist order I belong to. The unpronounceable name was pronounced thus. Yeshua. Now, whether this is the actual, and that energy, that Yeshua, it's actually the energy of the Christ. Any questions, any comments? We're all good? All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do a closing meditation. 5 minutes. I just want to mention one more thing. In the course of trying to explain this, the thing that the thing that came back to me again was the story of Pollyanna. Pollyanna was not delusional, because Pollyanna saw everything rosy, pinky, perfect, and everything else when everything around her was crap. This is what the story goes. Pollyanna was not delusional. She actually was visionary. And if you can be visionary and have certainty, you will change reality. Focus on the positive and what actually works once you get into that state. Focus on the small change, and the bigger change will come after it. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. Become aware of the resistance
your burden and difficulty that may exist in your life at this moment. Wherever it shows up in your body, whatever feelings, emotions, thoughts that it may generate, let your consciousness and soul sink fully into it. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. Lord, take this cup away from me. I am not capable alone to manage, repair, or fix this. For I am only a man, a human being. I am vulnerable and weak. But in you, Lord, the prima mobile, the unmoved mover. I have faith. For nothing is impossible to you. Take this burden away from me. Take all of the shame, the fears, the attachments, the mental chatter, the rationalization, the mental and intellectual ideas. Take them all away from me. Let all pain and all suffering end. I surrender my entire body, emotion, intellect, and soul into your care. Help me. Provide me the support, the lifeline, the repair, the instantaneous and miraculous change and transformation that I need. I am at rest. I am liberated. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Pierre. Wonderful class, beautiful meditation, and lots to take away from both.
You're welcome, Janice. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Any other comments and questions from anyone? I want to thank all of you for listening tonight and for participating. Again, it is the simplest thing in the world, but it is also so simple that you blink, you miss it. Lydia, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Priya, I wanted to just say something to Janice because, she's a very sensitive person. And for her to, even reveal her feelings and how she's feeling even now, I know it takes a lot. Thank you for sharing with them. But my grandmother used to say something, and I want to just say this to Janice because no matter how you feel, she used to say, because she was praying all the time. And grandma used to say, though he slay me, yet will I trust.
Mm.
So it didn't matter whether you were ambivalent or whether you were fully charged in your faith at that point. Just know that your destination is there, no matter how, whether you're coming in or going out, your destination is still God. So it doesn't matter if whatever it is you feel, this will kill you if you don't, or kill you if you do. Trust. And she said that all the time. Though he slay me, yet will I trust. That's what I can say. That took her a long, long way. The things that she saw in her lifetime, you will never see. And the hardships that she endured, you wouldn't even imagine. Yet, and still, she triumphed as a woman of faith, and I see you in that same light. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. I love you, and I bless you for your words, your support.
Thank you. No, it's all right. It's all right. I find myself saying the same thing. I say, Grandma, if this takes me out or if it keeps me here, though he slay me, yet I trust.
Mm. Mm.
So bless everyone, and Tia, you just keep on pushing through. Just keep on pushing through, because for someone to reveal how they feel in a world where everything is so secret, everybody's keeping secrets. The best thing that we can do is to just break another illusion that we are somehow we are separate. The only thing we need to know is that we are one, and we have never been and cannot be separated except in our own minds.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole job.
Mm. Thank you,
Okay.
Sylvia.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here tonight. I love you so much, family. Thank you for listening. Thank you all of you on Patreon who are listening to me and for the support. If you're on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you all next week. Deep love, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.